Kia ora. For our Plugged In program today, I'm talking with two very enthusiastic women about an event which is soon to take place here in New Zealand. I have next to me Wendy Hill, who's the program coordinator for the Rachel's Vineyard retreats. And next to her is Suzanne O'Rourke, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Voice for Life and Charitable Trust. It's great to be here. Thank you for letting me come to you.
Good to be here.
So tell me about Rachel's Vineyard retreats. I've heard about them and I believe there's one to be happening in New Zealand soon.
Rachel's Vineyard retreats is new to New Zealand. We've brought it over from Australia, originated in America. The ones that are helping with the retreat have actually attended a Rachel's Vineyard retreat in Australia. It's a healing retreat for women who have, and for men who have some experience of abortion. So we're talking about grandmothers, aunties, women who've had the terminations themselves, anybody who's come across the abortion experience and could use some healing in there.
Plus maybe a father who didn't know he had a child until he found out that he hadn't.
So it's an excellent opportunity for people to receive some real healing.
So what's the need for that in our society today?
Today we're looking at over 18,000 abortions a year, so we're talking about a lot of women out there that are hurting, and not just women, as you say, there's the men as well and their families that are really hurting from their experiences. And sometimes we're talking about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, longer, and sometimes more recent as well. So there's a lot of walking wounded out there.
They carry the memory with them over the years, don't they?
They do.
And the anniversary of what would have been the child's birth or the termination is a big time.
Yeah. Well, it affects, every woman has a different experience of her abortion and is affected in a different way, but it was always changed by it. And
Suzanne, you've been helping to kind of organise these things, haven't you?
Yes, the Voice for Life National Charitable Trust is the site, the licence holder for Rachel's Vineyard retreats in New Zealand. So it's certainly a major part of our program in terms of resolving these issues. It's been a huge commitment to get the number of people, retreat leaders, trained to understand how this program would work in New Zealand, how it would fit with other activities and other programs that are touching on this area as well. And I think the truly significant thing around this approach, or these retreat weekends, is that there's a lot of other activities that can unravel some of the pain and the emotional and the physical consequences of an abortion experience. But this retreat experience takes people into that spiritual healing, and it is an encounter with Christ. It's a Christian ministry. In terms of taking this or finding people, bringing them to this experience, it's a huge part of the work of the trust.
So is it only for Catholics?
No, it's not. It's the experience from America and from Australia is that although it is mostly offered through the Catholic sacraments of reconciliation and Eucharist, something like 80% of participants would be non-Catholic or even non-church.
So it's okay if somebody rings you up and says, I used to be a churchgoer when I was 5 and I've never been there since, can I come?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it's important to understand that what this work is. It's connecting people to the healing of an event that's happened in their life. So, one phrase that I think summarises the effect of a Rachel's Vineyard retreat is that a woman was saying that she carried with her all her adult life an experience of abortion, and she carried that into the retreat. But after the retreat, she had a knowledge of the child who was lost. And that, I think, summarises what actually happens. Now, after the retreat, people have had this shift, or they've moved on from what has been an experience that's been in their life all this time. And they then need to connect in with other communities and where do we go in our life now.
And can you help them get ideas about how to do that?
Oh, they normally have ideas themselves.
And I suppose that's what you've seen, Wendy, when you've been on this retreat, you've seen that happening.
Yeah, I watched women who just overnight looked transformed in the morning, and I think, there's a huge spiritual healing taking place on this retreat.
Does it last? Have they told you since then?
Well, we did our retreats in Australia, so it's quite hard to keep in touch with those ladies.
But from what you've heard,
but I mean, even for my own experience too, which wasn't actually post-abortive, but I needed some healing. That my own experience has been life-changing for me. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I noticed that you've got a little brochure here, and part of the brochure is some little quotes from people who have had such a retreat.
Yeah.
And I love this one from somebody called Dawn. The retreat provided a safe, caring and supportive environment in which I was able to touch and start healing some very painful experiences.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not prayer all the time, is it? But it's spiritual.
It is deeply
Some prayer?
spiritual. Yes, I think it's fair to say that that people would be drawn to a retreat because they want something to shift.
Yes.
And something to change.
Yes.
And it happens when there is a group of people who are mutually understanding and mutually supportive, but something else has to happen as well. And it is, I would have to say, the presence of Christ in that meeting. That is the change.
So when's the retreat happening in New Zealand?
It is June the 18th. That is the weekend that we've planned.
And when's the cut-off date for applications?
That's a good question. We have a cut-off date.
Well, I think we're certainly taking inquiries all the way through.
Right. So anyone can ring your office from now on?
Yes. Well, I think the thing is, if they can't attend the June retreat, there will be other retreats.
Oh,
so we're planning some more as well. So we'd like to hear from anybody.
Yes. I'm hoping that people seeing this will hear and tell their friends or relations about this, and use the number that we're providing for them to actually get in touch.
Yeah.
So may your work go well, and thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for watching inspirationaltv.net. Join us again.